Hello, hello, and welcome to day 6 of the Fall for Watercolor Challenge. Today we are going to be painting a pumpkin, and we are going to use this opportunity to learn about how we can leave the white on our page to our advantage. So as we're painting this pumpkin, we're going to just make a lot of like little C shapes almost with our brush. It'll be pretty similar actually to what we did with our leaf when we were doing the Sasquatch, ballerina Sasquatch. And as we paint these little C marks, what we're going to do is we are going to make sure that we're leaving space in between each of these little C marks. So you'll see what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to go thick Sasquatch. Then, you know what, I want it kind of like bigger, right? Big pumpkin. Okay. So there's my first one. Just using my Hansa yellow. I'm grabbing a little bit of my alizarin gold here. I like a kind of brassy, bright yellow, or bright red, sorry. And then if you want to add some other colors in, I always like to add a little bit of orange, kind of darker color on the edge. And then, okay, this is where I'm going to talk about leaving white space. So we are going to paint really close to this line that we just painted, but we're not going to touch it. If you do, it's okay. All right. Oh, I touched it. I did it. Okay, I did it first, so you don't have to worry about it. I already did it. But the reason why we leave a little space is one, it gives a visual difference so that we can see that there's a new shape happening, but we can still paint while everything's wet and enjoy the wet and wet of watercolor. It also, no, those are the reasons. That's why you leave it. So when I paint a pumpkin, I could totally do this in a way where it's dark in between and we're really getting into the shadow. But since we're doing this nice, loose, little quick pumpkin, this is a really great way to give up the pumpkin shape without having to wait for the pieces to dry in between. So if you wanted these to touch but not bleed together, you would have to wait for each piece of it to dry. And we've talked about this. Kate does not wait. Okay, it's too hard. All right, so now as I get to the edge of my pumpkin, I'm gonna just do some little pieces right here. Show the back of the pumpkin. Maybe a little bit right here. I don't know, this is kind of weird pumpkin, but that's okay. Okay, now we can do the stem. I might add a little bit to that in a sec, but let's just do the stem. And so if you want it to kind of blend in with your other colors, you can have it smooch those sections that you already did. If you don't want it to blend into that orange at all, try not to let it touch the colors that you already put in. You know I love a smooch, so we're going for it here. And if when you're painting the stem and you're wanting it to smooch a little bit, if the paint just goes like everywhere, you might want to try tapping your paintbrush to your paper towel to just give you a little bit more control over how much moisture is there on your brush. All right. So now I'm grabbing a little bit of my olive green here, a little tap. Tapping my brush to my paper towel also helps give me a lot more control of how the tip of my brush feels. I'm just making a fun little stem because, you know, why not? We're festive. But it helps me shape the brush into the shape that I want. So the stem is kind of thin, and I can, when I tap, I can tap it so it kind of pushes that edge nice and flat. So I get a nice edge line there. All right, now for some big pumpkin leaves. I'm just gonna kind of, I don't know, something like that. Just kind of move my brush a couple times. You know, it's not like, you know, profound or anything, but it's like vaguely pumpkin-ish. I add some yellow in there. A little bit of that yellow, a little bit of that orange. Just add that to the leaf too. Get some of that color that we like to see. And this is going to blend that yellow in with that green. We love to see it. Oh, yes. Here we go. one's really yellow. All right. There we go. We have our little pumpkin. I feel like these back edges are a little funny, so I'm just gonna, I don't know, bring it down a little bit. Whoop! I touched my pumpkin part that I already said that I said I wasn't gonna touch. So again, I did it for you. I broke the ice there. Oh, I did it on this side too. Okay, that's okay. So now if you want to add a little bit more shadow, a little bit more dimension to this around the edges of your pumpkin, if it's not dry yet, you can always add a little bit of a darker red to give it a little bit of shadow. If it's already kind of started to dry, you can just gently get a drier brush, kind of dry your brush out and spread that paint around a little more evenly so it doesn't look like you just slapped some paint on there, which we did. Shh, don't tell. All right, and there's your pumpkin. So short, sweet, but how fun is that? Tomorrow we're gonna do some gourds, so that'll be really awesome because gourds have all kinds of like cool shapes and warts and texture. So get excited. If you haven't signed up for the challenge yet, definitely go do that because you could win prizes. And I'll see you around on the internet. Happy painting, friends. Woo-hoo!